But then you have to have a copy.
Jessica.
Yes. I do.
Good evening. I'd like to call the Alton Board of Selectmen's workshop to order August 31st, 2020, 6 p.m. Until further notice, to keep our members and staff safe and comply with RSA 91-A, the state of emergency and governor's orders, restriction on public gatherings. The town of Alton has moved from the in-person meeting to a remote audio participation meeting. To remotely attend the meeting, audio and video, visit our website, www.altnh.gov. On the day of the meeting for the instructions, or telephone the Selectmen's office 603-875-2113 or 603-875-0229. There continues to be no public input at this time. Gentlemen, if I could have approval of the agenda as presented.
Under other business, can I add town hall?
What was that?
Town hall, under other business.
The only other thing I'll ask is that we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance tonight, just in the way our country is right now, that we show our unity for our country. Mr. Whitten.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Meeting purpose, department budget presentations. We're going to start with the planning department tonight, and I'm going to look at Jessica to highlight where her budget has increased the most or has decreased. Highlight some parts of her budget. See, this is actually her second one she has prepared. Last year we met with her the first time before coming down. This will be her second one after 12 months into the position, so thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so the biggest changes would be, one is the full-time wage line. Of course, that includes COLA and merit increase. Same as the part-time line. The other big jump is the dues and fees. Those dues and fees that I'm a part of the American Planning Association, the New England chapter. The first 2 years, they give you a really reduced rate for new planners. So when I started back in last September, that was my first year I signed on. So I've already re-upped for this year. So there's my 2 years at the lower rate. So come next year, I'll have to pay the full dues. So that's why that increased.
What's the organization again?
I can tell you specifically.
Lakes Region
The
Planning.
American Planning Association, the Northern New England chapter. You have to sign up for the Northern New England chapter if you're part of the American Planning Association. And I signed up for 2 divisions. One is small town and rural planning division, and the other one is for hazard mitigation and disaster recovery planning. Thought those would be helpful. Let's see what else. The office supply line, that went up from last year just because of the PPE and things that we'll have to add additionally this year as compared to last year, like wipes, hand sanitizer, things like that for the office.
Why isn't that all going through emergency management?
Because the Board of Selectmen asked that each department put it into their budget.
General expense. Yeah.
Although there is quite a bit more that is going through the emergency management.
Basically, it looks like it's about a 3.5% increase. Thank you for keeping it under what we requested. Very much appreciated.
Yep, everything else is the same.
Chairman? Yes, sir. I talked to you once before. Okay. You're all done?
Yeah.
You had 3 accounts
just discussed.
Mhm.
And I hate doing this, but you have 100% left in them. Beyond mistake. This is as of July. And that was on 112, 111, and 110. Isn't that this year? You said you. 111 is the planning dues and fees.
Yep, so can I speak to that one?
Yes, sir.
So that I just did in August. So this, look at it, adding a July report. So, I just used that money in August. So there's that. And, planning, so line 112.
Yeah.
Travel and mileage, we didn't go anywhere this year, COVID. But those are to attend, conferences and trainings and things like that we normally go to, that we didn't go anywhere. We just attended online. And,
The same thing with fees.
correct, that's the same thing.
That's what I thought the answer would be.
Mhm.
Comes to the dues and fees, when we budgeted, I really like to make sure it gets spent.
Yep, yes, and it did.
Okay.
It's
Good.
just, it's not reflected yet.
Paul?
No, I think everything looks pretty well in order. I think it's pretty good.
Whitman?
Not at this time. You sure we're gonna be on advertising up to the 3,500 again?
I don't foresee anything different than we have been.
2,600.
So, okay, so the advertising, so that includes having to renotice for the meetings that got canceled for COVID. So that's what that is. When we canceled the meeting, we had to, put it in the newspaper all over again. And same thing as put like the postage. It may or not sort of reflect as a huge, deficit.
That makes sense.
But the same thing, we had to send out notices to abutters, and that fell upon the town, not the applicants.
Question I got for you, Jessica.
Yeah.
Has the Planners Association ever thought about petitioning the state representatives and see if they could make some part of your budget a revolving fund, so it wouldn't have to actually go in the actual budget, like such as Parks and Rec or Solid Waste Center? Because the advertising, most of it's usually paid by the applicant. Different things that have to be notified and put out there. If we took it out of your budget and had it as a revolving fund, the money goes in the revolving fund, you're able to expend it that way. There's money left over, if it doesn't go back to the applicant, you can always have some extra money in case you had to re-notify others and stuff like that.
That would just constantly build up over time.
And I'm just wondering, and I know it's only your first year on the job.
Are you talking about the advertising line? Or the
Advertising and
postage line?
anything that you'd have to put up, that has to go with an applicant's going for the planning
Right,
board.
so I will share, there's a new bill that just got signed and entered into law that the towns don't have to advertise for meetings in the newspaper anymore, as long as they have the agenda listed on the front page of the town's website. So that's just in the process right now of redoing bylaws and application packets and, regulations. So that actually, that's gonna change. I just don't know how soon or how much that's gonna make a difference in the advertising line.
And it's the same as postage. I mean, it's, it goes against your
Right.
budget, goes against the town expenditures, where if it was a revolving fund that could be used to notify others. It would be to the planning department of towns.
Because you
Benefit.
because you could use the money that the applicants give you, even for their applications and everything, for subdivisions and stuff, put it into the revolving fund.
I was just wondering, I know it's your first year, you probably haven't gotten quite in that, especially with
That's something
COVID.
I'd sit with Laura and talk about, or?
Yeah. Either that or, even talk to the state rep, say, Parks and Rec has a revolving fund for different programs. That money just goes in the revolving fund, so if they had a program that came up, they could use the money out of it, they could, without going through the budgeting process.
Right, we would still need postage for the office.
Yeah, no, and that's
Yeah,
understandable.
for-
but
yeah.
It wouldn't show as much.
Yep, okay, I see what you're saying.
Other than that, I'm very happy with the budget, where it came at 3.5%. Anything else, John?
No, I
Anything else you'd like to
think your
say?
budget looks good. I think you did a good
All right,
job
have a
on it.
great evening, and you guys home.
Thank you very much. You're welcome. Have a good night.
The next one is gonna be the solid waste, it's gonna be done by remote, by Mr. Simons, instead of coming in to join us.
He doesn't have a PPE mask.
I don't know, maybe he's just had a long weekend with the towns folks up at the solid waste center. Mr. Simons, you with us? Mr. Simons, could you hit *9, please?
On to the next one.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
Good evening. So before I turn it over to the selectmen, I'd like to have you go through your budget, tell us about your significant increases or decreases you've done in your budget this year. So I'll turn the floor over to you, sir.
All right, good evening. Couple of things are up, the full-time, part-time, overtime, because of COLA and merit. Also, electricity's up another $1,000. And my other biggest expense is demo transportation, waste, and waste disposal and demo disposal. I upped the tonnage, up the transportation, a few more trips, and that's contract, 2.5% per year. And as of right now, compared to last year, the solid waste, we're at 260 tons more this year compared to last year at the end of July. And for the demolition, to the end of July compared to last year, we're 56 tons more this year. So I'm predicting we could be 20% over on my budget this year.
56. Well, of course you would be. I mean, we all saw it. Everybody was home for 3
Right.
months. Town gave everything free. So everybody got rid of everything, anything they had in the yard. Plus they did all these decks and everything else. So
Wow, that stuff, the demo on that stuff, that was across the scale, so that wasn't free. Just the tires, the couches and mattresses were. But the demolition, that was not free. That was across the scale.
right.
But like I said, we're 260 tons over just in solid waste, MSW. You know, from all the people. It started early this year, so I budgeted 2,000 ton for next year, and I've been thinking about it and going through my numbers. I think I should up that to 2,100 tons. So it'll be another $7,600.
Which line, Scott?
That'll be line item 405, waste disposal fee.
Yeah.
Right now, it's 152. So at 2,100 tons, we'll bring it up to 159,600. Last year, we was at 2,000 tons.
Now, your waste oil removal,
Yep.
is that after we take it for the town garage?
No, that's the contaminated stuff. That's the stuff that I can't burn and he can't burn.
Then
We'll have
safety equipment,
83. Yep,
safety equipment, you got 3,500.
yep.
You're almost quadrupled over every other department.
We do uniforms, and we rent those.
Oh,
Because, you know, we're dealing with trash, we get stuff on us. I don't wanna bring it home
Yeah.
and put it through my wash machine.
no, I don't blame you there. I don't blame you a bit.
Other than that, there's a couple of things that had a decrease in, you know, $1,000, couple $100. So like I say, a lot of this is a 2.5% contract.
But do you think your tonnage for the disposal fees are gonna be up there where they were this year, despite, hopefully, that things will level out, hopefully, if our government gets their heads straight?
I don't know, good question. Last year was 2,000 tons. And I'm kind of thinking, you know, some people aren't gonna go back home, they're gonna stay up here at the seasonal place.
Well,
Yep,
there has been quite a few that moved in for year-round now.
sure has.
Yeah,
Well, it's still under where you were in 2019. You're up about 8.2% on your budget.
38,000.
Yeah, the extra in.
38,000.
5% would only been 22,052. So, around about 8.5%.
Don't have much of a choice.
Those are the two big accounts.
yeah, like my demo transportation, I added another 10 more trips this year. Waste transportation, I added another 15 more trips. And the tonnage, like I say, I like to add another 100. And
those-
the demo, I added another, I think it was 200 tons compared to last year. Another 160 tons more I figured in demolition for next year.
Have we, Jim,
Yes, sir.
Scott, have we always used the same company for the dumpsters?
The same what, company?
Same company.
Yeah, they got a 7-year contract. That went out to bid.
That went out to bid, but where are we at in that contract at this time?
We are, next year will be the 3rd year. The other companies, they couldn't come nowhere close. They were really high.
Was it?
It was Casella and, yeah, it's Waste Management now.
Yeah, right. I know that, yeah. And these trips are obviously just one way. When they're taking them away, when they do the trips. They're not charging.
Right. No,
So your revolving account, what can that be used for? Just new equipment for your recycling and stuff like that?
yeah, that is used for my tin cans, transportation for that, plastics, the glass, my electronics, shipping, disposal of lights, tire disposal, anything to do with recycling, shingles, mixed papers, my sorted wood.
Right, so you collect monies on these, but do we use any of that money to help offset the transportation costs at all?
There's nothing else in my operating budget I can use it for. It's all taken out.
Well, what I'm saying is your demo disposal fees, we're charging for that on the scale, correct?
Correct.
You can't use
I
some
can't-
of those fees, to pay for those transportation costs and get rid of it?
No, because that demolition is non-recyclable. That's your stuffed furniture, your pressure treated. That's not being recycled. So I can't, by law, I can't use that money towards that.
Right, but can we have a town meeting vote, a warrant article asking that the fees that are collected at the solid waste center help offset the transportation costs that it takes to haul that stuff out of maybe we could have the town administrator look into that.
Yeah, that would require a change of purpose to the purpose of the existing revolving fund. That would be like a 3/5 vote need,
Okay.
something like that.
I would be wholeheartedly behind it.
How much-
If we're charging, if we're charging demolition fees, which is.
Right,
the
we're
wood.
charging for that, and that, what we're charging for the demolition, that is
Yeah.
paying for the transportation and disposal. That is wiping that out. You
The
following
revolving
me?
fund, Scott.
Well,
Right,
not
we
quite
can't
on
take
that
any,
one. What
No.
you just said, wait a minute, Scott. What you just said to me is the money you're getting from the demolition is paying for itself to go out. Is that correct?
that's correct. That's a pressure treated, creosote, that's that stuff, not the clean painted wood. That's goes to the revolving account.
All right, so when I go across the scale, like I did a couple of months ago, with all the trips I made, basically it was all wood. I think I paid $587. So that $587 went to the transportation of getting rid of that. Is that what you're telling me?
If that's clean wood, that goes to the revolving account, and that pays for the disposal and transportation. Yes.
Does the Laura take that money out of your account and pay that fee with it, or is this still just all going through the general fund?
The only thing that goes in the general fund, it's not the clean painted wood. It's the pressure treated wood, the creosote, the mattresses, the couches, the vinyl, the sheetrock, all that goes in the general fund.
So I guess this is
And that-
where I'm gonna ask. Well, wait a minute. So I guess this is where I'm gonna ask the town administrator to look into this, because if we're charging for all this, it should be paying for itself to get rid of it. And maybe we need to look
It
into
is.
that, and see if we can get a change of purpose on that account.
He says it is.
Well,
He's not understanding the question.
It would show on the revenue report for the line items that it's being spent out of. Is that correct? Yeah.
Well, the couches and stuff, we didn't, if you charge a lot, we find them on the side of the road, so we had to take a happy medium back when we set
Well,
this up.
and I understand that, but all I'm saying is, this part's going up quite a bit on this year. And all I'm saying is, his budget just should be a line item of saying, and I know it's in the revenue line item, but revenue's coming in, which will expend that, which the budget keeps going up. If we're collecting for it, I want to see where it's taken off the other end of the scale.
Scotty, how much do you have in that revolving fund?
Revolving fund?
Yes.
Let me get it right here. $56,781.
56,781, so they ain't gonna pay for much.
That takes care of the demo
Yeah. That's about all.
in the
they
operating
care.
budget.
The clean wood and the painted wood separated from the rest of it. I'm.
Right,
Yeah.
that goes in the revolving account.
Why? Why is there a difference?
Or a difference in what?
The wood,
I'm just asking why you take, the rest of the materials like sheet rock, insulation, and that type of stuff, and that is put back into to the fund for the dumpsters itself, but the wood is because that's different. You're treating the wood, the clean wood and the painted wood differently. That's what
Right,
went into
that
the
goes,
revolving.
right, that's being recycled, so that going in the revolving account. The other stuff's not being recycled, so I can't put that in the revolving account.
Okay.
And there's a $20 difference by recycling the clean painted wood versus throwing it in the other container.
Okay.
Gentlemen, do you guys have any other questions for Mr. Simons on his budget?
Scotty, that landfill monitoring, that continues to go down. Are we doing that good up there?
Yeah, so far, it changes, it fluctuates. Next spring they could test and state could say more testing. I think I saw an email that we're gonna have to do more testings on the PFAs.
Right, well, that's why I'm asking, but we keep going down on that line.
His expenditures are up this year. If I'm reading this right, he only has,
Where are we? I put monitoring.
expended,
I budgeted the same. Any extra testing comes up, all of a sudden, that comes out of the capital reserve.
Scott, my next question to you is, in your general expense, basically you're going down to 2620. In uniforms and safety equipment, you kept it at the same. There's nothing in there for PPE or sanitization or anything like that?
Oh, that's under where am I? Office supply.
All right, so if I go across, $200. So out of
Yeah.
1,200,
You work with the public more than anybody.
I guess it's not.
We got,
And I guess we'll have
I
to
got-
ask the town administrator, it should be underneath one line item for all departments, not different line items for different departments, so we understand.
No.
But that to
No.
me seems low.
Gonna use some socks?
also, some solid waste associations there. I'm getting some stuff from them for free.
Okay,
Yeah. I got mass that's supposed to be coming and some other things coming, so.
any other questions, Mr. Simons, gentlemen?
I have just one, Mr. Chairman. Going back to 405 there, that's that solid disposal fee. Are we writing in 159?
Well, that's what he's requesting, yes, is one line.
$600 increase.
Yeah. So we're more or less saying we're going along with that?
We're just we're not making any decisions tonight. This is what he's requesting. Laura said next week, by the 6th, we should be able to have our up-to-date expenditures. The only thing I'll say is that's only on 8 months worth of spending, not 9 months like we normally do. When we take that into consideration, we have to kind of extend that out to the average, what the average monthly is, when we look at the expenditures. We were a little early this year. I think we're the first board that's really actually gotten a head start on the budgets this year. Any other questions, Mr. Simons? Well, Mr. Simons, thank you very much.
Oh, I think it's done good to keep it down.
Appreciate your efforts and your justification sheets and your explanations tonight on the budget. And we will get back to you when we reschedule your department to see if we agree or disagree.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, be safe. Keep the mask on up there at the solid waste center.
Bring you up a new one.
I need to. Keep my mouth shut before I get in trouble.
All right. Gentlemen, Parks and Recreation Department will be next. Is that going to be through the thing too?
Yeah. She might come up in person if she's downstairs. I'm not sure if she's in the building or not. It's listed as both, in person and by telephone.
Yeah, she was gonna listen. I think she's like outside listening.
Kelly, come on up.
She's a coming.
They postponed.
Oh, I was supposed to tell you that, so.
Well, Water department,
Yeah. Yeah.
Darren, you-
I was going to tell you that when I come in.
Thank you.
I was all nervous about it. I says, well, nothing you can do, family first.
Family, she had to dig a big hole and fill it in.
Yeah. That's all they've been doing.
Oh.
That's all they do is dig a hole, fill them in.
good evening, Kelly.
Those don't work. It's,
Thanks for coming in. So I'll let you highlight your budget from your increases or decreases and go through it before I let the board ask you some questions.
So the first thing that I wanted to note was that when you look at the actual budgeted expenses, you'll see some line items that weren't even spent. That is because we were directed to not purchase things unless they were necessary. Also, I did submit a paper on May 14th that documented all of the places that we could save money this year, and that totaled $17,996 between the three departments. So I just wanted to preface our meeting today with that information so that you just in the back of your minds know that why didn't you spend this? So for the first budget, grounds and maintenance department.
That's right first.
So Parks and Rec.
So this budget is increased by 3.61% for wages and 2.42 for the old home week, for a total of 5.02. It was decreased 1.01%, and those items were dues, postage, general expense, printing, new equipment, and the lifeguard stipend. So the total budget was decreased $1,251.
Which you're up about 5.6, 5.7%.
Right, and 2.42 was from the old home week. That was put into this budget as the last line item under the direction of the selectmen.
Correct, yes.
I got a question for you on this, the old home week, block party, entertainment,
Okay.
food, 800. Why do we have, they cook the food, they have a donation jar for somebody else. Why ain't we having a donation jar that goes back to the home week committee instead of to some other organization?
Well, I don't know if Mr. Whitman would want to answer that. I'm not a member of the Old Home Week Committee, and I haven't been affiliated with them for their spending. But I know there was a donation jar that if that money went into the Rotary, is that what you're?
Yeah.
Actually, in my memory, the block party that we usually have out back here, my memory is that, yes, the donation jar was there, and at the end of the night, the Rotary said, keep it for the committee. Am I correct on
I
that?
believe so.
Yeah.
The only thing on your department, on this department, I had no problems. Thanks to it. Basically stays right in line where it was. You gentlemen have any questions on this department? No. Okay. Guess that takes care of that one. Kelly, we'll move on to park, grounds and maintenance.
This is the budget where you'll see many line items not spent, not all the way spent, or some challenges were where things were closed in March. Electricity, fuel, those are all not really able to go back in time and look because those numbers aren't right. They're not real. They're variable. People weren't in the community centers. So that's just another example. In this budget, the total increase was 2.45%. The new person in this budget, you'll see a new person, that's 8.89%. I'm sorry, it was 12.45%, not 2. And that increase was 8.89%. That's the new person, and that includes the new position with their overtime, their uniform, and their recruitment costs for a total of $25,400. The next increase in general expense was $300, and then the final increase was the COVID expenses, which was $4,129 for our department, and that's because we do most of the cleaning.
All that money, Liz, is getting. Emergency management,
The
So, fund.
extra cleaning supplies for, the staff to do the disinfecting all the time is being reimbursed to us by the state. The board had asked that each department put something into their office supply line or whatever they had, a few $100s for their office supplies, so that's two different things there.
We did have decreases as well. There was the portable toilets decreased for $180. New equipment decreased $130. 207 vehicle expense decreased $172. And lastly, line 319, which is Alton Bay Community Center expense, decreased $55.
No.
So Virgil, their regular cleaning stuff is in their budget. The extra stuff that is being purchased this year for all of the disinfecting is being paid for out of the emergency management budget and being reimbursed by the state.
The uniforms, is that something that is a company that comes out and does the uniforms?
No, this is to purchase those uniforms for those people. And that was increased because if we do have a new hire.
By putting a new laborer in there, is that gonna cut back this overtime? That we could split shifts so they're not working overtime on weekends doing trash and stuff?
That's a possibility that we can manage it that way.
Your budget's up about $35,601, correct?
Yes, it's $35,601 increase, yes. And $25,400 is for that new person.
So that's about 15% increase in the budget overall, bottom line.
Well, the overall budget was increased 12.45%. COVID increase was 1.4.
So I'm just looking at the bottom line. I'm not looking at COVID.
Probably
I'm
11.
just looking, I'm getting, 12 and 15, we're close to the 15, I think. I have to say, I'm not for the new position. It's probably one of the only selectmen that isn't for the new position, so if that stays in there, I'll vote against the budget on this.
Well, I think we need to help.
I think we need to help, but I think the reorganization of this department, highway department, water department needs to come underneath one roof until we decide, the board of selectmen, which way they're gonna do.
So you'll take a department and keep paying overtime and everything else to this, instead of adding somebody.
Well, the other thing is, you haven't figured in the cost yet of what that single person family plan will cost on insurance, so that's not really the true bottom line, adding a person to the
No,
town.
I know that.
But I still think, I'm still under the impression we need to formulate, like I said last year, the last 2 years. You have to formulate either Public Works Department or everything comes underneath the Highway Department. So rec building is too small for what they do down there. They need to go somewhere else with their maintenance of the equipment. You agreed to that.
Yep.
I think before we add another person, we should look at that and see how we want to look at this and do that before we just add another person. At least that's my opinion. That's up to the majority of the board. I'm just saying if it stays in there, I'd probably vote against this budget on this one. selectmen look at redistributing or reworking the departments on this one whole aspect.
And we talked about that a couple of years ago, and then we sort of kind of like got off.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think you start a department that needs help till we change something. I mean, I think that if the department needs help, you've got to get them help.
There, what, decision or this request from the selectmen for the new position was the discussion of the wall being rebuilt and then the
That's right.
brick walkway. So
Yeah,
it was
done.
going to be cheaper to put in a new employee. So that's what I was directed to do, and that's why I brought it in.
That's what.
No, you only did what you were directed to. I have no problem with that. I'm just stating my feelings on the position. I still think you can. Any other questions for Kelly on this budget?
No.
Yeah, I just had one, Mr. Chairman. Electrical expense,
What line you on, Bob?
383. Yes, was that,
Bandstand electric.
We have a timer on those?
electric, I guess we haven't. used
Oh, no, this
it
does,
This year, is that,
does the ice heaters.
Right.
because we're not gonna be using it much now, right?
Ice heaters.
Yes, so that's, and it talks about the aquifer,
Yeah,
and,
I didn't understand it.
so it depends on the temperature of the, how cold it is, and that's how much the aquatherms run, because they are on a sensor. So 15 to 32 degrees, the aquatherms run 2 hours on and 2 hours off. Below 15 degrees, they run 6 hours on, 6 hours off. So if it's really cold, they're gonna run 6 hours, and then they'll be off 6 hours. So it really depends on the weather, for this line item, and that, so it isn't, it's probably misleading to call it bandstand electric, but that's where all the electrical.
It's actually
That's
the
where it
docks,
is.
town docks.
The meter is right for the docks. It's all in the back of the bandstand.
Okay.
It
Thank
should
you.
actually say bandstand electric for docks.
Right, but it does the walkway lights too. It does half of the walkway lights, that are in the bay, and the Alton Bay Community Center does the other half. So there are decorative poles on the brick walkway with a light globe and a black, pole, and
Yep.
those are the lights, those are the lights that are being paid half to comes out of this line item. But that's where the meter is located on the bandstand.
Then these other accounts, as a virus, I can understand.
Right.
But I see you budgeted them exactly the same as last year.
Yes, I did that on purpose, because in my opinion, we didn't get to do the things we did this year, and we didn't get to do the projects or get the purchases that we needed, so it's repeating the same budget.
Kelly, one more question. Line item 703, 49, West Dalton Community Center. If we're not using West Dalton Community Center, how are we using $429 in lights? Is that because of the security system or alarm system?
No, there is no alarm system or security system.
No one's shown interest in that in
Right.
2 years after we held the public hearing.
Right.
It's just sitting there idle. Myself personally, I was one to say, keep it, put the new roof on it. But after 2 years, putting it out there and having a public hearing, telling the folks of West Dalton, you want to use it, step forward. No one has stepped forward. No one has shown interest. Myself personally, I would like to look at town administrator, find out from legal counsel, can we sell it or not?
Yeah, I think that requested.
We don't have heat in there, do we?
Yeah,
No,
nothing
it's currently hooked up.
nothing should be on in there.
Right.
There's electric, that's the minimum monthly fee. Want to turn it off. There isn't a reason to keep it on.
Monthly fees, so normally it's about $25, right?
Right, so there's,
$30 actually, monthly fee, I think.
the $35.75 a month.
Is there any smoke detectors or smoke alarms in it?
There is a fire extinguisher, because we're paying for that, but,
That's in the backup, the fire station.
yeah, that's.
But there's no fire alarm system hooked to town hall or?
It's not
security?
electronically hooked up.
What's your suggestion, shut the power?
Where do we stand with that building?
Well,
Can't, you know.
the town administrator has sent a request and the legal counsel, we're just waiting to hear back. It's just that no one's stepping forward from West Dalton. You folks came down, said they were interested in doing something.
They're gonna paint it.
No one's come up. So I just see if it's just gonna keep sitting empty there, if it's just gonna keep falling down, we're gonna put more money into it. We wanna call it a white elephant, we can call it a white elephant. I just think
We
it's
get
something
rid of
seriously the town needs to look at.
Are we getting rid of the fire station too?
That I have no idea.
Oh,
Have we been using the fire station?
no.
Yes.
Yeah.
What, to park a vehicle in?
Well, they respond sometimes out of there, depends on where the call is.
Well, down here,
I really think,
any reason to do anything with
to be honest with you, someone needs to go up around the fire station up there, because it looks like it's just being overgrown.
Mm-hmm.
All around the building.
I know, I was up
And I
there
don't
the
know
other
whose
day.
jurisdiction that it comes underneath, the fire chief or her department, but I would say more safe, the fire department.
Fire chief.
Anyways, we just need, that's just something that we need to look into. I mean, it's not much money, 429, but it's 429 we're spending for no reason.
Well, the thing is, you either gotta shut the electricity off or leave it on.
Well, the main thing is, by keeping electricity on, you always have a chance for a fire with nobody using it. If we shut the power off,
Shut
there's
it
no
off.
chance.
Takes that chance away.
Well,
Listening.
but even with that point, okay, whether the power's on or not, if that person wants to do that, that's gonna happen. With no alarm system connecting to the fire department, nobody would ever know except for the neighbors. I'm just thinking of something in her department, in her budget, she doesn't really need if we're not gonna use it. I mean, all we're doing is paying a membership fee to the co-op by leaving it there. I think it's on the co-op, not the public service, right?
Not right.
So we're paying the co-op a membership fee for not using it.
Right.
Which I think is one of the ludicrous ideas of the co-op, that we have to pay a membership fee. So, gentlemen, think about that over the next couple of weeks, maybe Kelly can think about that too.
I would recommend, if you were asking me to eliminate that and turn it off, but we were being charged for it.
Yeah.
And it was.
No, and that's fine. I understand why you shut it off.
It's not needed.
As far as $100, I'd leave it there in case someone breaks a window, so we go,
Yeah.
at least fix a window, or someone kicks in the door, we have a line item there, or it needs to be reduced down. So it's not a whole lot of money, but it's the purpose of paying a membership fee for not using anything.
You want her to call the company?
I'm actually not authorized to,
Oh, okay.
because I've tried to do that before with other town buildings, and it's the finance office, I think.
Would the board like the electricity shut off in that building?
Think for a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah, why are we spending $1,500 on this pack then? Railroad Square Park?
Oh, you got a flagpole down there, has to have a light on it. I believe that's the way the electricity for Railroad Square Park is.
And it does have a light that lights up the parking lot.
It's coming up, though, street lighting, because that's been a memo from the town administrator.
And there's
Shut them all off.
There's a trail there too, so it does provide light for walking on that trail.
Well, gentlemen, take a look at the budget over the next couple of weeks, so we can meet back here with Kelly and go back over it with her and for your recommendations. Okay? Have any questions, give Kelly a call on it. No, maybe she can define it better for you, or just her justification for expenditures. Kelly, anything you'd like to say?
So then we have the cemetery department. last.
Yeah, that's where I'm
Yep,
going to.
nope, just a reminder that I know that I like to complete projects, our department likes to complete projects, but things were different this year, so just to keep that in mind as, if you are to cut anything, it's only because we did it on purpose, we didn't.
We understand.
Yeah,
We're
okay.
the ones that already kind of ordered.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, thank you.
We haven't got this COVID up there still.
Okay.
The only thing on the Parks and Rec, if you could, for us, Laura, could you get out what a single plan and family plan, and statements of insurance would cost? I know it won't include for next year, but at least you give us what this year's cost have been, so we can see what the overall adage is. Full-time position. The other members, please, thank you.
Sure.
All right, Kelly, you're up on the cemetery.
So for cemetery, we have an increase of the total budget of 2.94%, and 2.56% of that is wages. COVID was a $198 increase, but we did decrease portable toilets by $105, and we decreased cemetery buildings by $100 for a total decrease of $205. And if you minus COVID minus the decrease, our department budget went down $7 overall.
Maybe that's what we should have done, is call COVID line item.
Yeah.
New line item.
Right. Yeah. And our COVID information is in our general expense, so if that needs to be moved to office supplies.
No, that's where we actually wanted that, was
Oh,
general expenses, where we talked about it earlier, having anything PPE, sanitization, all in the general expense. Yeah, as long as it's not computer supplies.
Right.
Yes, Mr. Holt?
Contracted services,
What line item, sir?
184.
Yes.
Yeah. You back up, spring fertilization, crabgrass, 1,007. Summer application, rub control, fall application, weeds. What have you done?
So we did the spring and the summer, and we're still have to do fall. Is that,
Okay, well, evidently you must have just done the summer one.
yes.
So, Kelly, the only question I got for you is, one that was in landscaping also sells fertilizers and stuff in the classes I've been to. Spring fertilization, crabgrass, I get. Summer application, normally August, they do for grub control, insect control. Broadleaf and leaf weeds are usually done normally in May to June when the dandelions and broadleaves are coming out. Normally in the fall, if they don't get to it in time, the frost will kill them up and you don't kill the broadleaves, because the only time you get the broadleaves and the dandelion is in the morning when the grass is wet.
Okay.
Because when the sun comes out, flower pulls in the water, that's when it pulls in the poison to kill it. That's why broadleaf and dandelion killers are always done in the morning. All the other fertilizers are done with grass. Normally in the fall, you would just put down a regular nitrogen, build up your root base and everything for the winter time. So that's why I'm just wondering, I know we had this conversation before, and I'm surprised that the folks that you have to do that for you want to do a broadleaf in the fall, especially when it gets late, in case they don't get there in time. The frost kills it, they still come and fertilize. Put a broadleaf killer up there, it won't do anything for you.
Okay.
Because the roots at that point are kind of dead. So that's why I was just wondering when I saw the fall part. I have no problem. I think it looks a lot better the way you changed it up now, getting the crabgrass killer out there early in the spring. I think that's helped you guys out quite a bit.
I got a question for you. Your Saxton, paying him, it says file and burial records. And then we've got a file clerk down here that we're paying too.
That's just one of his duties. He has things that he keeps at his office. So when someone comes in to buy a lot,
So what is she filing?
she's processing the paperwork. Well, there's different people. The file clerk is what the Parks and Rec administrative assistant is called, the file clerk. The secretary is the finance officer's assistant. So the file clerk is looking over every single folder and making sure that the names are correct. There's a lot of errors. It's fixing all of the filing. If someone purchases a lot and they have different names, so you have a Jones in there, for example, and then there's 4 other people in that same lot, and they're married names. There's a Smith and a O'Neill, and there's 4 different names, but it's only the old file that's only under Jones. So if you were to come into the office and say, my great-grandmother, Catherine O'Neill, we don't know where she is, we'd say, oh, well, because we didn't know that it was in the Jones, that we don't know. So we're trying to fix all of that, to be able to come into the office and say, I'm looking for this person. Files need to be basically redone, so that's what this person is doing. We're going over old Old, New Riverside, we're starting with each row by row, and there were some errors where people were in the wrong location. So we had to correct that.
There's a lot of them in this one.
We haven't gotten to this one yet, that's on our 10-year plan.
No, I've been hearing the same thing.
Right.
For almost 20 years now with the cemetery.
Final clerk's position
I
is,
used to argue with Shirley about too.
so we're working on,
I don't know how much filing can be done in 20 years down there, but we ain't got that many graves.
it's 5 hours per week, and the person is very busy.
Is this something that Sexton works on during the wintertime too, though?
The sexton, it works for Parks and Recreation in the wintertime, from December 1st through March.
Does the Sexton work on these files also, though, along with
He does, he's working with this file clerk to do that, so they do
How
it
many-
together.
what's our, because 4 years I've sat here now, I've heard this same thing.
I've been hearing it for 20.
How many years do we anticipate this being done, or keep going on?
So when you find an error, for example, like someone's in the wrong spot, then it throws the whole row off, so it's some spots we think we're supposed to be empty, and through probing, it seems like they're not empty, so I don't know the answer to that question. It depends on how many errors.
Don't we have the ground penetrating radar?
That's what she's talking about.
But I guess getting the files done straight, I mean, when do you feel comfortable that I could come in and say, geez, my great granddaddy so-and-so Ichabod is buried here, can you find him? When do you feel comfortable you'd be able to tell somebody?
So we're also looking at if the town were to get the GPS and putting it on the town website and just entering the name, and we could tell you exactly. So we want to have a folder, so you open it up and it has the Jones, and then it has the subfolders in there. We're not near doing that. We need to get everything corrected first.
How long?
So I'm saying a 10-year plan as from when we started. That could
We're
be
looking
wrong.
at 30 years of doing this.
When did you start?
This was 2016.
Yeah, it's only been 2 years for Kelly, so.
Yeah.
Okay,
No, I'm not blaming Kelly.
No, I'm not either.
Why
I'm
we
just
got,
curious how many years.
this is why we pulled the Saxton out of there in the winter, because that's what they were doing in the winter, was filing, and it wasn't getting done. And then they were filing in the summer, and it wasn't.
I wasn't blaming you, I was just more asking a question of what
When
the
I gave
game
this
plan is.
for almost 20 years now.
Long, I won't be here in 10 years to ask you that question.
I'd like to know where Ichabod is, he used to own my house.
Down there with his horse on the old Riverside Cemetery.
He's down there with Tom.
Anything else for Kelly on the cemetery? No. Mr. Holt? Rochelle? Mr. Whitman?
No.
Mr. McDonald?
No.
Mr. Wentworth, no.
No, I
Kelly,
think she's
thank
done
you
a pretty
very
good job on the budget.
Thank you.
The town administrator will get back in touch with you when we schedule and go over everything.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to patriotic services.
Right on. Save 16,000 a year, Ruben. It's been on COVID. It's 4583.
Right?
Judging from the city, yeah.
Judging from the cities, exactly.
Big gentleman, patriotic services, 16,743, it's already down 22,500 from 22,550 from this year.
All right,
That's
now,
because they're holding part of our money from this year, correct?
Yes.
where did we spend,
Say that again, please?
They're still holding our deposit that we made earlier this year. If you remember, when we went to cancel the fireworks for
Yes.
Fourth
Yeah.
of July,
Yes.
Yeah.
we kept our deposit there for next year.
when have we,
So actually, we'll be spending the same amount.
Be spending the same amount, but it would be, part of it would be expended on the 2020 budget. And then there was, part of the money was being used from fireworks from Old Home Day was being used towards help me out here, Laura. Old Home Week fireworks. We took that money to spend it on
The boat,
the
something
boat
with the
launch.
boat
That's where
launch.
we're gonna put it on the boat
Right,
launch. if
right.
you remember.
Correct.
Yeah.
when do we spend money on veterans' flags?
Usually it's in the spring for Memorial Day.
And I've never seen this town buy them yet.
They don't, they give us the American Legion.
The Legion buys them, and then if they send us an invoice, we'll reimburse them. If they don't send us an invoice, we don't reimburse them.
Except for this year, somebody did it ahead of time, before the American Legion did.
I'm thinking of it.
Yes, some volunteers.
Some volunteers went out there and set
And
them all
also
in.
the cemetery department, and it's always a combined effort.
I don't think we were invoiced this year from the American Legion.
No.
Gentlemen, we got a budget of 16,743. Are you willing to approve that budget tonight?
And we don't have,
We can't,
I know.
because we voted not to.
I know, I wasn't here, so as the chairman, I'm asking if you want to vote this tonight so we can get the patriotic services.
we should go back and vote for some of the other small budgets.
If that's.
No, we're here, if this is the way you guys did it last week, let's keep moving on. Any questions on the patriotic services? Bill? Nope.
Hey,
Paul?
Les,
Virgil?
I got no problem.
Okay. Moving on to Gilman Museum.
Can we get the numbers to beside these?
Mr. Chairman, if you
Is that
want to
possible
change that,
when we
No,
do this?
vote on it.
I've already started one way, I'm not gonna upset the apple cart.
You get me used to one way and then you change it on me.
But the binder is alphabetical, not numerical.
That's where you got the
See
problem.
that?
You always went numerical before
Yeah.
you gotta remember, I'm a native, he's almost a native. We're used to
60 years
some
ain't
things
enough.
going a certain way, and then you throw a loop in the mess.
And you-
I didn't say that, that's shameful on you.
You're on the
Only, yeah, I'm only 60 years.
It doesn't matter, you still weren't born here. You'll never be a native.
Nope.
No,
Nope.
that's all right, I won't hold that against you.
I'm a border jumper.
There you go. At least I didn't call you a flat.
They both used to.
No,
swim
I'm
in the
past
pond.
that. I'm past that. I'm into border jumping now, 60 years of it.
Should've put a wall up a long time ago.
That's right.
All right, gentlemen, moving on to Gilman Museum.
Which is in this, trust fund now.
Off the top of my head, I don't know. Most of the lines are level funded.
Turfs and grounds, $500.
Yes, I had put a request in last year for 500, and the selectmen took it down to $1. The previous year, it was budgeted for 500, and so I,
Yeah, I don't understand for what. I mean, there's
The
the
sign,
corner of the lawn there, that's it.
well, if anything needs to be done.
You can't even get paint on it.
Virgil.
How would you want to paint the lawn?
What is the contracted services for there?
Right, so if you go to your justification sheet,
Fire
you'll
alarm.
see fire alarm
Security alarm.
monitoring, the security alarm monitoring, and then the annual testing and maintenance for the fire alarm, and the same thing for the security.
$1,500 for a fire alarm for that building for a year?
No,
Oh, it's 11.
1,100, a little over 1,100 for,
Should be finding another company.
for two different,
We did find a different company, that's why we're here, the lower price was. You remember we went through that 2 years ago, outfitting town hall, department, police department, and money did come in a lot less, and we were having problems with the alarm system in town hall. Couldn't straighten out.
But we had one company doing it all. Now we have a bunch of different companies.
No, we have one company basically doing it all.
Fire alarm.
15 over. And the Gilman Museum only had smoke detectors at that time. They weren't even hooked up to any system. So the thing could have, you know, there could have been a fire, but nothing would have been called into a monitoring company. So now there's a system in place.
We just get away with a security alarm system monitoring. Just have the fire alarms in there that just alert everybody when it goes off. Why do we have to have a 24-hour monitoring fire department?
For the exact thing that you just said. If the fire alarm goes off and it notifies the monitoring company, which calls
A
dispatch.
big speaker outside.
Everybody else lives with their house.
It's a big horn on the outside when it's fire.
They're gonna use go so many times, they told you exactly where the fire was.
It's funny to have both of them, the security alarm system monitoring and the expense for that, and the two, it seems like we get away with just.
It's the same
just
thing
security.
for all the
I know.
buildings.
Why, they can't just wire that right down to the fire department?
No, they can't, because the fire department is not a monitoring company.
You don't
They're-
have to monitor. If the alarm goes off, they know where to go.
but not if they're out on a call. That's why if there's a monitoring company that all alarms go to, and then they call immediately the appropriate dispatch agency for whatever is needed, police, fire, whatever. Isn't any.
If they're busy somewhere else, it still burns.
All part of the cost of doing business.
Yeah.
Any questions on this, gentleman?
What new equipment we're gonna buy?
Which line item are you talking about?
201.
Well, in case you need a new furnace halfway through the year.
Buying it with that.
It's a level funded from
Almost.
previous year,
For
so
$742.
any sort of new equipment needed for the building, interior or exterior.
Gentlemen, any questions?
No.
Mr. Holt? Mr. Whitman?
No.
Mr. Rochelle? Mr. McDonald? Moving on the welfare, gentlemen.
This is also pretty much level funded. You'll see a $100 increase on line 015. And the justification sheet explains why.
That's the same copy I had in my folder last year.
It's,
You just made a copy, carbon copy, that was it? You didn't work on this,
I always look at.
When we started putting coal and stuff in the stipends.
It's been going on long before I even.
Somehow it got changed, because we never used to do it. Somewhere along the line it got changed, and it shouldn't have.
Well,
No.
I don't know when, but, and you'll see, there's a slight decrease on line 110, the, NHL WWA, they waived half of their, no one could
So is that $10? Well, you only went down $5. When you said they waived half the fee, I figured it was only $10.
If you look at the,
I know, I'm just saying.
breakdown, I try to be a little more thorough and.
You know, I've done numbers before, but don't try to run that
I
one.
know.
All right.
And then, line 831 and 832, the federal tax changed a little bit.
Gentlemen, any questions on the welfare line?
No.
I really don't, not having my current expenditure sheets here, so that will come.
Yeah,
It's kind of hard to do it on July, because you're only halfway through the year. You're gonna start running, that department could start getting hit if people start getting evicted from.
Once the cooler weather arrives, we see a significant increase in welfare case,
And
requests.
hopefully, those people that have been laid off took their $600 a week, put it towards their rent, then go somewhere else with it. But I think fortunately, in town of Walton, we've been pretty good, with it on tenants. I know as a landlord, I've been very fortunate. Any other questions on welfare?
A lot of people still working here too.
sounds
Lucky.
All right,
And I do want to make one comment, if I may, on line 802. Any expenses for the Heike Fund caregivers that go to the homes gets reimbursed from the trust.
Yeah.
So it's like a wash.
Yep, okay.
could you just make that a revolving fund too?
No, it's a trust.
I know it's a trust, but there's no need to have it in our budget. When it's a trust, it should just be run through the trustees. The trust funds, let them handle it. Just like when we go for town hall money. If we want to do a project town hall, we go to trustees of trust funds, they approve it, it's not part of the operating budget.
But these are wages with taxes involved, and we have to follow the Department of Labor guidelines.
Just makes our budget look inflated when it's really not.
Yeah.
Anything else, gentlemen? Ma'am, anything else?
No.
All right. At this point, I will close the department budget presentations. Move on to 3, other business as deemed necessary. Election Cares Act grant application approval. I'll turn that over to Liz.
Laura, can you, this is something that was brought up by the emergency management director. It's a simple approval for the CARES Act.
It's in that folder, to be,
Right.
in the signature folder.
I'm not sure if it needs to be approved. I mean,
I believe it does because it's gonna be money you have to accept, just like your FEMA money and you have to approve to apply for the grant.
and the grant is for,
So it's an election cares, so it's just for elections. What the state is doing is, because they're expecting an abundance of absentee ballots to be processed, they're doing a study where they're going to see what it costs to process one ballot. For the staff, the mailing, the paper, whatever it is that they, and what they're gonna do is come up with a cost. Say it's $15 a ballot. And whatever you do over and above your 2016 absentee ballot, you'll get that amount of money per ballot. They're gonna, give you 80%.
You gotta be kidding.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you how foolish this sounds to me as an individual that has to pay IFTA taxes. I was 12 cents off of my IFTA taxes. They sent me a bill saying I owe 12 cents, you have to pay within 30 days. It cost them more to mail me that letter, it was 12 cents, and I had to write a check out for 12 cents instead of saying, can we put it on the third quarter? I was audited once by the IFTA group. The woman spent 5 days at my store, going through all my mileage reports. It was on $12. Told me I was, I said, can I pay it? No, we gotta give you a appeal process, we gotta wait 30 days. So 30 days, the woman spent a week, cost the state over $4,000 to get that $12. And to do a study like this, to me, it's just a waste of money. Why not just formulate something? It's gonna cost more for ballots this year, it's gonna cost more for help. We'll put so much like they did in the PPE, and just put it over.
speak to your people.
Yeah.
Speak to your,
What, the representatives that represent us in this town?
I gotta check up the house from the state for a penny.
That worked well on the rumble strips,
I
didn't
mean,
it?
it costs you more than that for the check and mail.
Exactly. Costs more money to send that.
what is IFTA?
If the interstate free trade agreement between the interstate for mileage, or I have a DOT number when I go into Mass, Vermont, New York, I have to pay a mileage tax. That was 12 cents off. It's unbelievable.
Get your math right.
So,
Just need a quick approval.
we need a quick approval to apply for this CARES Act grant application approval.
Yes.
I need a motion.
So move.
Second.
Motion's been made to apply for the CARES Act grant application approval, second by Mr. McDonald. Any further discussion? Poll the board. Mr. Rochelle?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Holt?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Wentworth? I'll agree to it after you bend my arm. Motion is in favor.
The original's in the file.
Yeah, needs to be signed by the chairman.
Okay, Mr. McDonald, you wanted one thing added, number 2, town.
Town hall.
Yeah, tell us about the town hall.
Well, I'm still waiting for my mat and everything be hung back on these walls, because I think it's been long enough now, because I see downstairs they're stripping the walls, and we probably won't see that stuff anymore.
All right, so we are in a state of emergency.
Oh, get off the crap, this state of emergency.
No, let me finish.
Both of you, wait a minute, I want to interrupt both of you. Talk calmly and agreeably, not raise our voices, not point our fingers, and not say that crap. Okay?
I'll use the better word.
All right, I'm going to give it to Liz because you had the first thing.
So, in answer to your question, the grounds and maintenance staff would be the ones to put up that huge wall size map that is up
Take it down.
normally on the second floor by those staff members. If you recall from last week's selectmen's meeting, there was a discussion with the emergency manager how much work they have with disinfecting all of these town buildings above and beyond their regular duties. Now, they do have a work order program in the Parks and Rec Department for grounds and maintenance. And that map is in that system to be installed when they can get to it in their schedule. Quite quite frankly, with everything going on, plus all of their mowing and the things that they do every day, this has taken a little bit of a back burner. And in the colder months, when they don't have to do a lot of the outside stuff, that's when they get caught up on all of the inside stuff all over the town.
Why wasn't it done before COVID then? Down sent before that,
Because the walls
down
were
since last
painted.
year.
There was painting that was done. You remember when the painting was done for that
Last winter.
entire foyer area right out
Last
there?
winter, and I asked for the map to be put back up because we use it at the meetings.
Oh, okay, so we are talking about a different map. Because
Map
the one
that hung
that was
right on
hanging
that
out there
wall.
is like from the 1800s.
That's right, and we
Okay.
use it for our meetings.
All right, I'm gonna interject here. Can we find out about the map? Which
Yeah.
one belongs there, find out if it's as well as possible.
We used to have
I don't believe it would take long, but is it possible that you could just at least find out, make sure we still have it?
Where is
I'm
it?
saying this for a
Where is
reason,
it?
Ruben, because we used to have 3 of those paintings.
I think it's
Now we've got 1.
there.
What's the big deal with it?
Now we've got 1,
Time.
Is it too slight, you can get together and just put it up?
but we used to
Time
have,
is the issue.
What I'm saying is, if, Virgil, if you wanna put it up, you wanna get together with me, we'll put it up.
that's not the
Wait a
point. We used to have all the plaques downstairs from everybody in town.
So
They
many
took them
things
down,
to worry
they disappear.
The problem is that he's worried about them going missing. not
That's
being
right.
found.
Right, I understand that. So why don't we just take care of it?
Okay, but if Liz could find out where they possibly are, maybe.
I'll volunteer to help put it up, and we'll be done with it. And you say the same thing every time, why don't we just get together and just.
But you're missing the
do it?
point, because now they're taking all the plaques and stuff off downstairs and all the pictures.
I get it, so we ought to get the ones that are off, nothing, that are all down right now, and put them all up.
Or stop them from taking them down.
Do that.
Thank you.
I'd be more than happy to help them out.
Thank you.
Okay, number 4, we do have underneath other business, public session pursuant to RSA 91-A:3, paragraph 2A. Could I have a motion to go into non-public session underneath those numbers?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Made and seconded by Mr. Holt. I'll poll the board. Mr. Holt.
Yes.
Mr. Rochelle.
Yes.
Mr. Whitman.
Yes.
Mr. McDonald.
Yes.
Mr. Wentworth, yes. We're now in public session, folks. Thank you for joining us. We will be coming out of non-public session, going back into a live session after that.
Did you think
know when we're live.
We're live.
Welcome back to call the Alton Board of Selectmen's meeting back to order at 7:23 from non-public session. We have a motion not to divulge non-public session underneath A, reputation, B, to render any proposed action. Second to that,
Second.
Mr. McDonald, second, any discussion? Hold the board, Mr. Whitman,
Yes.
Mr. Rochelle,
Yes.
Mr. Holt,
Yes.
Mr. Donald,
Yes.
Mr. Wentworth, yes, both in the affirmative. Gentlemen, seeing no further business being conducted tonight, do I have a motion to adjourn at 7:24?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made by
Second.
Paul Schell to adjourn, second by Mr. Whitman, any discussion? Hold the board, Mr. Whitman,
Yes.
Mr. McDonald,
Yes.
Mr. Rochelle,
Yes.
Mr. Holt,
Yes.
both in the affirmative. Folks, thank you for joining us tonight, we'll see you, when is your next meeting, is it Tuesday night? Wednesday night. Okay, we'll see you on Wednesday night, same time, same channel.
Wednesday night this week?
Wednesday.